We have a quite interesting topic today. We will discuss cuckolding. I already made a video about the reasons why women should try cuckolding, and right after that, I questioned myself and the phrase and the name of the video that I picked. I was like, should they try that? Like, really? But anyway, the main idea of the video was that if a woman tries that, she does it for herself, first of all, not for her partner. Even if, yes, of course, like it's up to the couple what to do with their sexual life. And obviously, both parties should be taken into consideration. Yeah, like the desires of both people here. However, I can see the tendency that mostly women do it for men, and that's mostly men's fantasy. And also, I don't understand this when people get so upset when you generalize something, when you speak about different topics. It is important to generalize because it is based on reality, because we speak about tendencies. We don't speak about something in particular. Yeah, these would be like some different videos, or I could mention that. But when I say that it's mostly men's fantasy, it does not exclude me, for example, even if like I'm into that. It's just like generally speaking. Let's speak a little bit about the reasons. Yeah, I mean, if you watch this video, you probably already know what cuckolding is. Yeah, when a man wants his wife or his girlfriend to have sex with other men. So basically, this is like sexualized cheating. Of course, obviously, that's not actual cheating because that's consensual, but the idea is cheating. That is the same like with other kinks. You sexualize something that is considered bad, yeah, like sexualized misogyny, sissification, or sexualized or racism as a race play, or sexualized or negative attitude to a person, like humiliation kink, etc., etc. So, and this obviously does not come from something that happened consensually. Sometimes we say that, oh, like maybe or maybe someone cheated on this man, yeah, and this is how his psyche found the way to cope with this by sexualizing this experience, right? So like there was like some better man who had better sex with his wife, and like this is how it turned him on, instead of upsetting him, because maybe for his psyche that's too much to get upset and to deal with the jealousy. Yeah, that's like one of the possible options why it happened. But however, I think that it happens even earlier, when like everything starts from our childhood. And probably the majority of cucks would find some situation or a set of situations, yeah, like multiple situations that happened in their childhood, when they felt this jealousy towards their mom, but it is forbidden to desire your mom sexually, right? Or but somehow you have this feeling, and when you see your mom with maybe your father or with another man, you have these mixed feelings, and you are not supposed to feel jealous either. Or maybe you are actually as a child. No, jealousy is fine for children. Children are always jealous. You're not supposed to feel sexual desire towards your mom, but you do. So these are very conflicted feelings. This is just my own guess, confirmed by a few cucks I've spoken to. But I'm not saying that it's like the only right version why it happens. So I would like those who consider themselves cucks, yeah, to share in the comments down below when and how it started, if you're ready for this, of course. But I would really appreciate your answers. So whenever I share my ideas, I get blamed in being too heteronormative, even if the majority of the world is heteronormative. Also, what else? There is something else, like, honestly, I forgot. So, but my main idea is that cuckolding has to be based on what women want. And in order to understand what women want, we actually have to pay attention. And the problem is that women don't speak much about it. they, because female sexuality is either suppressed, yeah, that's been suppressed for a long time, or it's exploited. So nowadays we can also see that. So yes, like lots of women convince themselves that hookup culture is great for them. And what's the alternative of that? Like staying home mom, going to church, as if people see that these just like two polarities. And if you say that, oh, like a woman cannot have sex like a man, or cannot just like get this mechanical pleasure, it does not mean that there are cases when some women can, and I've experienced that as well. That's not about that. Again, I'm speaking about general tendencies, not about some particular cases. Of course, I've had quite a lot of sexual partners, and I had a period of my life when I was like Samantha Jones. And I was sleeping around with men saying that, okay, I just have sex. And I still claim that I love sex, but it takes a little bit more, okay? It's not just pure sex. And women are mostly, well, they get attached to who they sleep to. Not always, of course, but they tend to, more than men. However, what I see in cuckolding is that men have some understanding about women based on, I mean, they're just like not actual understanding of women. They just imagine how they would feel as a woman. And I can see this when, for example, I talk to our gay people. I see how gay people interact. My dick, okay, picture, meet tonight, let's fuck. That's it. And they think that women interact the same way. But it takes a little bit more to get sexually interested in a man. And I'm not saying that a woman cannot have sex just for sex. I'm saying that this woman's just includes so much, not maybe so much, but more than men's just sex. Because for a woman, in order to be turned on, it takes to feel safe. So first of all, but this can also go together with a feeling of danger, like kind of like a thrill, adventure. That's why lots of women have this. So for example, men have Madonna whore complex, yeah. Women also have it. Women also, they like this nice stable guy and a bad boy. And again, even if I cannot relate to liking a bad boy, my type has always been like a weird guy or like someone very strange. That gives me emotions. And even if I cannot relate to this specific type, it does not mean that so it does not exclude the experience and the preferences of the majority. I don't like this strange movement when they try to shut them down, especially women. They only recently started speaking about what they want, actually. Only recently started finally understanding. It's not always easy to get her talking about what she wants. And when I want to share my opinions on cuckolding and to discuss this, like the whole sphere, yeah, of kink, I don't want to speak to kink community. Like, I don't want to be accepted by kink community. I mean, I honestly don't care that much. There are people who agree, there are people who disagree. My target audience, yes, of course, when I do financial domination, obviously my target audience is subs. But when I speak about these things, yeah, like that include women, I speak about women in general. Like, kink community is like, it's this amount of people in comparison. I care for women. I care how women express their sexual desires. I care for the world that is affected by women's sexuality, but it's not explored yet. And it can be, and it can be explored in cuckolding. But again, if cuckolding is based on women's desires. Lots of women face the same issue. They marry a guy, and only like couple of years later, she finds out that he has some fetishes she didn't know about. That's a big issue. Your fetishes should be communicated in advance. I think, like, even when you just meet someone, or at least just at the beginning of your relationship, when it's not even a relationship. And then they have to deal with this. And often they don't want to lose their partner. If you are lucky, yes, maybe if, like, after you get married, you tell her, oh, I actually wanted to sleep with other men. If you're lucky, maybe she will be down for that. But what if not? What if not? And then, like, what are the choices she has? To get a divorce, or maybe to try just because you want it? Okay, if we speak about kink community, well, that's also a very interesting understanding of female sexuality. You will see thousands of accounts on Twitter, of porn accounts. Like these cucks, they constantly retweet porn, BBC porn, or all kinds of huge penises porn, ripping off these women, ripping them apart, using them as whores, right? Because this is what men understand by female sexuality, that a woman is someone who gets fucked. For a regular couple, I would say that there are more disadvantages to try cuckolding. I'm not talking about kinky couple, I'm talking about when they just wanna try. And again, why I don't concentrate on like kinky people, kink community, yeah, because almost everyone has kinks. And somehow people live with that without organizing any communities, without like living by these rules. I think everyone has some kinks. And cuckolding, yeah, like, is it sexual deviation? Probably for many people it would seem so, but at the same time, is it in DSM-5, DSM-6? I don't think so. Especially if it includes 2 or 3 or more consensual people. To me, that's a very innocent perversion. But at the same time, when we speak about marriage, it can ruin your marriage. Often a cuck is not someone sexy. Yeah, often a woman wouldn't have this passionate relationship with a cuck. That's why she would, again, coming back to women's needs. If we take the concept of cheating, which is the basis of cuckolding, even if you say that's not cheating, that's consensual, obviously. But where does humiliation come from? Yeah, I don't even know. How do we replace jealousy? How do we cope with this? I don't think that cuckolding is similar to swingers parties or polyamory relationship. That's not the same. That's actually based, like, that's sexualized cheating. And for that, we have to understand why women cheat. Why do we have to understand this? Maybe to understand women better, just in general. Maybe because we realize that the world is not just pure kink community with like their own rules, how to act, how not to act, what to say and what not to say. The world, like the majority of the world, is not queer, is not like that progressive. I mean, I don't find lots of things progressive that people call progressive, but anyway, if we take like a standard situation, why women cheat? Because they get bored. They don't have passion. They don't have the feeling of adventure. They don't have the feeling of adventure. What gives a woman the feeling of adventure? That you can fall for someone who gives you emotions. And when I speak about emotions, it does not mean that a woman like falls in love and expects this guy to marry her. No, this is not what's going to happen actually in most cases. Often when a woman is married to like this stable, very reliable man, she wouldn't even leave this man for some fling. That's not the point. The point is that she lacks all this interest and feelings in this relationship, because often these guys who are often cucks, they are not sexy. That is true. I'm pretty sure that there are some sexy cucks, but most of them are not. Most of them are just like men who, and they don't want to be sexy, honestly. They don't want to give like all this passion to a woman. Admiration, yes. They love their wives like immensely. But this love and admiration is more like love to your mom. Like, you don't actually want to have this passionate sex, or you would have this passionate sex after she already had sex with someone else. So getting back to like why women cheat. Emotions, like lacking emotions and boredom. Also, of course, they want to have a better sex. But again, getting back to like, what does it mean to have better sex? Better skill, better emotional connection. When do we have better sex? When we have emotions. And usually these are emotional swings. And this does not mean that, like, when a woman cheats, then that's like real cheating, because when men cheat, it's like pure physiology. When a woman cheats, no, that's also like kind of our pure physiology, but our physiology is just more complex, okay? That's more complicated than men's physiology. And our just is already too much for you. So what can happen in a regular couple? Regular couples interest me more than kinky couples, honestly. So what can happen in a regular couple? A woman can fall in love with someone she sleeps. Yes, it can happen. Also, a woman can lose her respect, especially if initially she wasn't really into that. If she was convinced to do that, she can lose all respect to her husband. She can feel disgusted that he made her do that, like afterwards, even if it was quite arousing for her. At some moment, consequences for a man are also not always bright. You know that lots of submissive men, they live in conflict. Rational mind, deviant mind. They cannot merge these two things. They live in constant conflict. So after they release the tension, these desires, they also disappear for some time. He also disgusts himself. He does not think good about himself. Do you think that all people with kinks are so self-aware just because they know where it comes from and how to perform it? You think that people can cope with this just like this, with a feeling of guilt and shame? You think that everyone who is kinky is automatically healthy? No, very far from that. I wanted to see my point that when I say that cuckolding is purely, like mostly men's fantasy, it does not mean that I don't have these fantasies. I have them, but under my own conditions. It has to be based on me, on my desires. Otherwise, why do we refer this fetish to femdom? How is that femdom? I know that it's going to be a long video, but I want to mention the relationship between a cock and a bull. So there is always like a bull in cuckolding scenario, yeah? And since I'm not sure when actually that happened, maybe you know, or when men started calling themselves alpha and beta, as if there are like only two letters. But anyway, the way men perceive each other, that's always like some type of a game between them, sexual game. Or that also, like, that actually refers to sexualizing female cheating. Alpha cucks, beta ducks. Alpha, what did I say? No. Alpha ducks, beta bucks. Yes. One of the reasons why a man wants his wife to sleep with other men, and especially like if it includes practices like watching the actual sex, and especially, you know, like cleaning the wife after, are, yeah, somehow I just like how, like, if I say that is gay, okay, that's not gay, that's bi, since you're like a little bit attracted to your wife, yeah? Hey, what are you talking about? What? That's one of the reasons. That's why there are lots of there are lots of cucks who are bi, and at least they're okay with that. But those who shamelessly want their wife or whoever they're talking to have sex with another man, and of course he would be the dominant one, right? That comes from long ago. When men, for example, imagine that men had battles for the land, and women obviously were a part of the property. So when someone takes your property and has sex with your property, you also feel kind of raped, and you have to deal with that. I'm just like throwing ideas, okay? I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm throwing ideas, and I think that I'm right. I think that everything that I mention is the part of this like complex thing, which is called cuckolding. Fetishes are not simple. Fetishes consist of many layers of many different reasons. Something historical, something that that's like imprinted in your DNA, something you experienced in your childhood, something pre-existing, or something that affected maybe in your adult life. You know, there are lots of things. So yeah, that's one of them. Men always compete for something, for women especially. And when you sexualize your inability to satisfy a woman, when you sexualize another man to be better than you, that's also one of the reasons. And here we can see another tendency. That's the relationship between a cock and a bull, and a woman is like an intermediate. A cock wants the bull, and sometimes bulls want cocks. I talked to one man who specifically was searching for couples with cocks, and he had like a thing for after having sex with the wife, he wanted to feminize the man to prove it to him that like he's the main one, and that was a black man. Because we were speaking about the reasons, and I asked him if or like being black has to do with that, and he said yes. He wanted this man to be feminized. He said that cucks and sissies are the same. And this is how they often, like, you know, this hyper masculine testosterone alpha male, this is how they often see beta men. That's their own interaction that happens between them. And honestly, I don't think that this scenario is beneficial for women anyhow. I would never want to participate in anything like this. And when I say that I also have this fetish, I'm not even sure anymore, you know, because it's called cuckolding, and I don't like that it's concentrated on the cuck. Or I don't even... I don't think that it's like what I like isn't supposed to be humiliating for the other man, even if I like to do it sometimes, but you know, that's not the general point. That's not the main point. I cannot say that I'm into hot wifing, because again, a hot wife is more like a trophy wife who's shared, who's used, because I was seeing a guy who was into hot wifing, and he wanted to see himself like as another alpha male in this scenario, but he was so obsessed with where did he come, how did he come, in which position. Man, why don't you ask how I came? Like, why don't you ask about my pleasure? did he fuck you good? This is not how it works with me. I mean, I wasn't seeing him for long, just like for a month or something. And these questions made me so uncomfortable, because that's not about me. You just see me as an object here. And I think for me, every fetish has to be based on goddess worship. I mean, otherwise I cannot do this. Like, I'm not an object in between two men who probably want to have sex with each other, but they're both homophobes and they cannot do that. Again, I'm not saying that all cocks are like this. I'm saying that it's a very common situation. I consider myself like a truly sexually liberated woman, and my sexuality is not affected by common tendencies, by modern perception of women's sexuality. You know, you cannot use my sexuality. That's the thing. I am responsible for my own sexuality. And that is why I clearly understand what I want. And I have submissive men who are into cuckolding, and I just let them know from the beginning my rules and how it works. So, and I think that when we put our female pleasure like on the pedestal of display, then it can work. I mean, again, for me, for many people, it already works. I think that this video is too long. I should stop. Yeah, if I have more thoughts, I will make another one. See you. Bye.